All right. It's another episode of North London is ours. Sorry to disrespect that. I got people on the correct side, right side, the best side. Uh, yes, it's episode number 4 of North London is ours. Finally get to speak of the real games. We just had the first week of the Premier League game. We have a lot to discuss, and just a quick check-in. Stefan, how are you doing?
Hello, Mari. I'm doing well. Looking forward to the show. Looking forward to having some real debate about our two great teams, and yeah, just looking forward to the show, man.
All
Thanks for
right.
having me.
Oh, always. And then we have Connor, who is also got a big trip to Ireland. But how are you doing?
Yeah, no, I'm all good. I didn't think I'd be able to make it, but luckily got all the errands done, so I was able to make it, and I'm really looking forward to it. So thanks, Mario, for having me on. Really appreciate it, and yeah, big up to everyone on here as well, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Okay. And making his debut is brother Matthew. Brother, how are you doing?
Really good. Thank you for the invite, and interesting. I've never shared a screen with Arsenal supporters, so looking forward to the difference of opinion. Respect is always there. They're a good club, and I'm looking forward to a friendly debate.
Yeah, it gets friendly, it gets a little bit rowdy, and as should be, but always healthy. We got a couple people in. We got Ryan, who's in the house, always a big supporter. Also, Matt Jones, big supporter, is in the house. We got Benjamin Foster, who's also a big supporter in the house, and we also have big supporter, Mr. Post Office. Big up. He's also in the house. So let's quickly get to the subjects. We had a draw. I think most Spurs fans will take it on a tough road game. Brentford usually only lost 2 games at home last season. Arsenal, 2-1. Some called it underwhelming, but the main point of the game, first game of the year, you just want the 3 points. You just won it. 2 stellar people in that match. Man of the match, Basuma for Spurs, Saka for Arsenal. Big years for these 2 guys. We'll start with our guest, the newbie here, Matthew. Basuma and Saka. Big years for these 2 guys.
Maybe for different reasons. I think Saka is ahead of Basuma in regards to form. I thought Basuma, some of it no fault of his own, had a little bit of a tricky season, and that was more to do with Conte and the system that was set up. I think Saka had a good 3/4 of the season. I hope the Arsenal fans won't mind me saying, but I think towards the end of the season, he
held off.
I think fatigue potentially played a lot of games. I think that just held him back a little bit, but I'm a big fan of Saka. I think he's a really good player.
Yeah. We'll go clockwise. We'll go to Connor. Basuma and Saka. Big years for these 2 guys.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's safe to say Basuma got off to a slow start with Tottenham last season, but I know, and saying this as an Arsenal fan, I never hold back. I like to give the truth, even if it is Tottenham. Basuma's a good midfielder, and he's a good player. And I think he'll come very good for Tottenham this season if he obviously stays fit and gets regular football in the team. And I think he could be good for Ange's new run. I don't know, like Postecoglou, I think that's the name. I'm really bad at pronunciation. And yeah, so maybe he can. Hopefully, he gets a run in that team. I mean, I wanted him at Arsenal before he went to Tottenham. I was literally begging for him to come to Arsenal, but obviously he went to Tottenham. But yeah, hopefully he has a really good season. And I agree with yeah. I think Saka towards the end of last season was dropping off. I do think that's down to the amount of games he was playing. I know he's our main right winger. He's one of our main players, and he's fantastic. But I think, he's just getting into the swing of it. He is still pretty young. He's only 2021. I think he was getting into the swing of it. And yeah, I think fatigue caught up with him a lot because we rely on him a lot. And I do think.
Did you guys get any cover for him?
No.
Proper cover for him for this season?
There's no.
Re-signed Reece Nelson. That's what we've done. We've re-signed Reece Nelson, which isn't the option that I personally wanted. As much as I do think Reece Nelson has talent, I don't think he's up to standard. So the way I like to think about it is I want competition at Arsenal in terms of we've just brought in David Raya and he is perfect competition for Aaron Ramsdale. I don't like players to think they're comfortable in their positions. I like them to keep fighting for their places and putting in 110% each time. And as much as I like and respect Reece Nelson, I don't think he's that for Saka. I think Saka knows in himself he's comfortable in that right winger role, and as he should be, he's a fantastic player. But I really do wish we invested in someone going behind, knowing that he's always behind his back.
Mario, can I just ask Connor a question because Arsenal fans they love to do this. When you say we should have invested, can you tell me one winger that we could have signed that could actually be a valid competition to Bukayo Saka? Because in my opinion, there's maybe 3 or 4 wingers in the world that are either better than him or on his level. And those 2 of them are at Real Madrid and one of them is at Bayern Munich. So can you tell me which winger we could have signed that would have kind of challenged his place, Connor?
I like to think Mohamed Kudus, who's now just been linked with West Ham. I think he could have been a good player to come in. Very underrated, and I think a lot of people will turn heads because he's from Ajax and think, oh wow, Eredivisie, not talented. When I've seen him in the Champions League, I think he's very talented. But just having a different type of player coming in as well. Not just that, he can play on the wing. He can also play as an attacking midfielder. So he's very versatile, as the word Arsenal fans like to use. So I would have personally gone for him, and now West Ham are getting him for a £35 million fee, which in my opinion is pretty cheap for a winger these days. So I would have personally gone for him, Stefan.
It is cheap.
Available. I didn't know Doku was available.
Jeremy.
I mean, again, Doku. If you read his injury history, it's awful. It's horrendous. So I wouldn't sign Doku. His injury history is bad in France, and the moment he comes to the Prem, which is a more intense and more physical league, it's going to get worse usually. With Mohamed Kudus, I agree with you, Connor. I also watched him at the World Cup. I watched him for Ajax in the Champions League. Really talented player. But you know which left winger for Ajax also looked super talented in the Champions League games, but looks absolutely horrendous in the Premier League? Anthony. So that's not a guarantee that just because he looks good for Ajax and he played well in the World Cup that he could actually be. For me, he's nowhere near, even though he's very talented, he's nowhere near valid competition for Bukayo Saka, because I don't actually think we could sign somebody for 35 to 40 million, because if we want to sign valid competition for Bukayo Saka the way Arsenal fans, we have to pay in terms of 60 to 70 million for someone that's really, really good. So for this argument that, we should have signed, I agree. Do I like Reece Nelson? I like him. Do I think he's valid competition? No. But I just think it's unrealistic. Even in Man City, they have undisputed starters. Kevin De Bruyne, always, when fit, will start. Rodri, when fit, will start. They have, and Haaland now, of course. So they always have 2 or 3 players that are undisputed starters. Saka is one of those players. We just have to accept it. Could Arteta have rotated him last year more? Yes, of course. But yeah, so going back to what you guys were saying, I actually disagree. I actually did disagree with man of the match being Saka. I thought in that game, Martinelli was better. But I mean, Saka was awarded man of the match, so we'll talk. But I mean, I hope last season he had his best year, and in my opinion, if he wants to continue to be called world class and to be talked about in the same echelon as Vinicius, as the best wingers in the world, he needs to have another season similar to last year. It looks good. It looks like he's actually improving his shooting and finishing, like the goal against Forest. And so I'm really, really looking forward to actually seeing what he can do this year. And I also hope Arteta can rotate him, can be a bit more brave, can give chances to players like Reece Nelson, give him a bit more leeway, so then Saka can actually, in the final 2 to 3 months of the season, can actually be well rested, not well rested, but not really tired, and not fatigued. So, in my opinion, Saka, the only way is up for him. He's super young, so he's going to get better. On Basuma, as as all of you guys say, he's a really talented player. I wanted him at Arsenal when you guys signed him. I was shocked at how bad he was last year. I really was. He looked like just a completely lost player under Conte, and I expect him in a more attacking, possession-based system to be the player that everybody actually expected him to be for Spurs. But I'm gonna hold that in terms of, I want to see him when he plays against better teams. I want to see him when he plays against Man United this weekend, against Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes. I want to see how he fares against them until I actually pass judgment and say, yeah, I'm pretty sure Basuma is going to have a big year. Because for me, that's really important, because you can play really well against Brentford, and no disrespect to Brentford, they're a very solid Premier League team, but in my opinion, the the best players play the best in the biggest stages. So I want to see that from him. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the questions was because it's very rare, extremely rare. Actually, I can't remember the last time Arsenal has done a deal with Spurs, Balogun, but we'll talk about that later. I wanted to bring up this question going into the weekend. We saw Man City. Um, they comfortably to beat Burnley. You saw Pep barking because there were some things that were a little off. If you know Man City, they're a bit off, and hugely it's Kevin De Bruyne, his injury, and against Sevilla, they won, but like I said, it wasn't convincing. But usually, a Man City apologist will say they start slow, and they do, but now, in Arsenal's eyes, because now they play Newcastle, should Arsenal just right now be focusing on themselves, or should they be keeping one eye on Man City, who is right now they haven't lost, but it looks like they are maybe looking to teeter, and they're going to play a real tough Newcastle team at home. I will this time start the other way around. I'll start with Stefan. Is Arsenal keeping one eye on Man City?
In my opinion, no, because it's too early in the season, and I agree with a lot of Man City kind of defenders, where they always start slow. If you look at the last 3 years, they always. I remember 2 years ago, I think it was at home against Palace. Palace beat them 5-2 or something. They always have some sort of shock result in the first few months of the season, because it's just they always start slow, but when it counts, they always win 10 games in a row in April and May. So for me, I just think Arsenal should focus on themselves, because to be honest, we need to focus on ourselves currently, because we have new players, we have a new system in terms of how we play, and so we need to focus in terms of how to improve and how to integrate all of those players. In terms of Kai Havertz, now that we've signed, he's our new number 8 or Xhaka replacement. So that's going to take time to integrate. The impact of the actual injury to Timber is going to be huge, because he looked really good in preseason. So Arsenal are going to need to work on that in terms of how to best replace him, what type of systems, what type of players to play. So for me, Mari, I think Arsenal should, in the first 10 games, focus on themselves, and then see where we're at after we're actually after we've played those games.
Yeah, Connor. Um, is should Arsenal just focus on themselves, not look at a possible teetering by Man City?
I like to think that I want to keep an eye on City when it comes to the game against City. Listen, at the end of the day, we can only control what we do on the pitch ourselves. That's with any team. You can only control what you do in the pitch every single game. And if City decide to have a little bit of a fall down, then not only is that a positive for us, but it's more of a thing where you let them do it. If they want to be doing that, if they're going to drop off a bit because they have injuries to certain players, then it's ideal for us. But I want to be focusing on more of our games each time. I mean, I have seen people already thinking we're going to win the league this season, which I think is ridiculous. It's one game. I always take it game by game. I'm not one to say, right, bam, we're winning this because of that. I mean, if we're going to judge it off how we played the other week against Nottingham Forest, I wouldn't give us a sniff this season because that second half was very lackluster and very poor. So, yeah, I mean, listen, I'm always going to keep an eye on City, especially with the running we had with them last season. I'd like to think we're going to do it again personally. Do I think we're going to do it at the moment? I'm 50-50. But do you know what? Yeah, I'll keep an eye. I will always keep an eye on City either way. But even with the De Bruyne injury, I know they played in the Super Cup the other day and it was a bit lackluster. You know, they just got back into it with the Cole Palmer goal. But it's Man City. I think even without De Bruyne, I think it's going to be still good for them. I think they're still going to go for it like they do every season. I know a lot of people think, you know, they just won the treble. Where's the motivation now to go and do it again? And I can understand that because there have been teams before in the past who have won big, especially the treble, and then, or even a double, and then going ahead and not really continuing it or the same type of form. So you can say that. But listen, we're going to take it game by game. I'm always saying that. I'm looking on to Crystal Palace, which is going to be a test. As much as people just want to sidetrack it, and as much as recent results have shown, we've done well there. But there have been times where we've gone to Selhurst Park and we have been battered at some points.
Yeah.
So
3-0.
Yeah,
3-0,
exactly. Yeah. But then again, they have Elise out. They have Zaha no longer there. So a little bit of leeway there. I think that could help us out in defending wise. I don't think we'll have a lot to attack from. But yeah, Man City, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, you could see they missed De Bruyne the other day. I can tell you that for sure. But we'll see. We'll see. I think they'll still be the same old Man City, but you never know. It's football. So we'll wait and see.
Yeah. Matthew, even if, you know, we drew, but you're always looking at the boys up top to see, okay, we don't want to be far behind. And we know, you know, top 5, top 6, you know, not my prediction, but you're still looking. So, and that's in our place. You know, do you think that Arsenal fan base or the team may be tempted to kind of say, it looks like Man City might slip up. They got injuries, and we'll get to Arsenal's injury. But it's like, okay, you know, because you want to get them right off the gate.
Yeah. For me, I think it would be a mistake if Arsenal did that. I liken Man City to, they're like Mo Farah in a long distance race. They just seem to know how to pace around the track. So Arsenal last season, Liverpool a season or two before, you know, get out the traps really quickly and look like they're ahead and they look like they're the favourite. But Man City, they're just like Mo Farah. They just stay on your shoulder. And those last 10, 12 games, you know, those championship games, they go on that run. So I think it would be a mistake if Arsenal or Liverpool or anybody started to kind of, I don't think they're in that position to do that. I think they've just got to focus on themselves, bed in, 1 or 2 new players in the team, and just be consistent in what they're doing. I think it'd be a huge mistake because if you start looking away, you stop looking at what's in front of you. And, you know, I hope Arsenal guys don't mind me saying, but you slipped up in some of the home games where, you know, your Southamptons and stuff like that, which in my opinion cost you because you may be thinking, oh, in 2 games time, we've got Man City, so we'll rest blah, blah, blah against Southampton, and you tripped up in that game. So focus on yourself. I don't even think Tottenham can even look at Man City. I think our rivals are Brighton and Aston Villa. You know, we've got Stevie Wonder sunglasses on at the moment. We're keeping as far away from that as possible.
No, definitely. That's where we're at right now. And since you mentioned Spurs, and there's been a talk about Balogun, the reason why we're talking about Balogun and Gift, Oben, and Vlahovic, because of our front three. We know Richarlison has been, and mind you, 2 shows ago, I said, you know what?
Mark, it's been one game. It's been one game, man. Come on, don't be so harsh.
I know. I predicted, and Danny the Bun said, "Oh, you're crazy." I said, if he has a healthy year, he will miss a lot of chances, but at least he will get us 10 goals. 10, at least 10.
You guys don't expect him to get even 10 goals?
I don't know.
I think. Do you know what? This is either a season where Richarlison proves everyone wrong, or he proves everyone right. Because you know, a lot of people have been bantering him. I saw a thing on Twitter the other day that apparently he won't shake Antonio's hand when they play West Ham because obviously Antonio went on with Callum Wilson and completely bantered him, and he doesn't want to shake his hand anymore. So I personally, I think I could see Richarlison succeeding at Spurs, but because you know how he was at Everton, but I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's just he can't fit into the system. I don't know what it is. So, listen, as much as I want Spurs to fall down, I've got to be realistic, and I do see Richarlison coming good, but it's whether he takes it by the scruff of the neck or not.
I think the question is what you said earlier is success. I mean, what is success for Richarlison?
15 goals, in my opinion. 15 goals, in my opinion, is because if you guys look at it last year, Ollie Watkins had a really good season. Why? He scored, I think, 17 or 18 goals. If Richarlison scores 15 or more goals, I think it's a good season for his standards. The issue that you have is that Richarlison is basically the replacement for Harry Kane. You're used to Harry Kane standards.
Yeah.
And
but realistically, I'm not wanting him to score 30 goals because we know Harry Classe, he's a different
different animal.
Yeah, he's a different animal. He's a different dog. If he can get us 15, I'm happy. Even if he gets to 10, I'm happy. The thing is, I don't know if it's psychological. I just don't know. I mean, because
he's just crap, Mary. He's just crap. Like let's just say it. He's not good enough. He doesn't have quality.
I think there's a player. Stefan, I think there's a player there. There's definitely, because we've seen it at Everton. I think there's a player there.
No,
maybe he's not
Connor,
maybe he's more of a winger. We don't so
Connor, he scored was 11? I want to say
11. His best season at Everton was 11 goals.
13 for Everton.
No, he scored 13 for Watford, guys, not for Everton. And after he scored,
Watford,
after he scored the 13 goals at Watford,
it was 13. It was 13 for Everton. Yeah,
it was 13. I thought it was at Watford.
Everton. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, okay, he could. So if you say there's a player there, but if you just look at him, just from we're not professional scouts, but just watching him. I can't see one quality where he's exceptional at. He's got a poor first touch. He's not the best to build up play. He's not aerially dominant, let's say. He's not very creative. Like Harry Kane, he might not have a good game, but Harry Kane can pass a through ball or do something, This guy has zero creativity. He doesn't create anything. He's not a particularly good dribbler. He doesn't have one exceptional quality apart from pressing quite well and running a lot, which I mean you can find the guy in the local park who's quite fit that can actually do that. So for me, I don't see how it's gonna work. I mean, for Spurs fans' sake, it has to, because I mean, you are screwed if he doesn't score,
Well,
because then
here's the question, because now I don't think he's going to make a change. And I asked Matthew this, and then we'll go on. I don't think he's going to make a change. I think he's going to go the same three. But eventually, will Ange see, okay, I got to put Sonny up front and get Richarlison out.
and then it's gonna go bad, Mari, because he's not
Well,
only
here's the thing. It's not working for Sonny as of now on the left. I mean, he's not technically beating his man. And so the best position for him right now is to put him up front. But we'll go to Matthew, and then we'll go to you, Stephen.
For me,
right
sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say right now, I'm thinking honestly, Son, Perisic, and Solomon, because I'm kind of sour.
After one game, give him 4 or 5, Mari.
I'm just, if it doesn't change in a couple of games, that's what I want to experiment, because this is the free pass for Ange, right? This is the free pass here. So Matthew, the front three.
Yeah, for me, I think Richarlison has a better chance of succeeding under Postecoglou, because he will set the team up to be a collaboration. I think under managers like Conte and Jose, it's very rigid, the system. So the centre forwards are isolated. And I think I will agree with Stefan in part of what he said, which is Richarlison doesn't excel at one aspect of his game. You know, you can't call him a target man. You can't call him a dribbler. He's not a very conclusive finisher. But I think his assets are he's mobile and he's busy. When he's on any sort of form, he's a busy centre forward. Now I know that's clutching at straws and it's not, your A-collar centre forward, but I think if you look at Postecoglou's teams, the centre forward has been a very mobile kind of centre forward. So they don't predominantly play with their back to goal. They're not the archetype centre forward. They're a forward that kind of works the channels and moves people out of position for, the attacking midfielders or the inside forwards to score. So I actually think if there's a manager that he can succeed, it would be under Postecoglou. Will he score 20 goals a season? I'm not sure. But I will agree. I think he needs time. And I think it's an easy stick to hit him with that he's not Harry Kane. That's obvious. That's an obvious.
It's
an easy observation. So for me, let's just give him time. Let's give him some games. If he doesn't score, play him the next game. If he doesn't score, play him the next game. And hopefully he gets some sort of a kind of a momentum and he comes good for us. But I think he needs time, and I think the fans need time. It's a free swing this season. I think he'll come good. I can't believe I'm agreeing with the Arsenal fans, but it's true.
Mark, in order to give an analogy, I'll just give one great example of, in terms of a player that was limited as a footballer but had exceptional qualities, and if you played to his strengths, he excelled, was Aubameyang. Aubameyang had 2 exceptional qualities. He was rapid, really fast, and he was in my opinion, at his best, was a world-class finisher. He was a world-class finisher. So Emery, although I'm not his biggest fan, Emery saw that and played complete to Aubameyang's strengths, and it worked. We almost got top 4. We failed. Arteta came in and he imposed. For him, his system is the most important. Emery played to the strengths of his players. Arteta had a philosophy, had a system. The moment he started implementing that system, which was in his first full year in charge, you saw the limitations of Aubameyang immediately, which was Aubameyang is poor with his back to goal. He has no physical strength in that way. He's not dominant. He's not a target man, as you guys said. And as a result, Aubameyang got exposed. A lot of Arsenal, Arteta stopped believing in him, and he just went downhill. And I think Richarlison, in order to be successful, the reason why he was successful at Everton was because he had another target man where he could exploit the strengths, in my opinion, the few strengths that he has, which was running in the channels and running into space, which Dominic Calvert-Lewin did in a really good way by, knocking headers into his area and just finding him from the wings. The issue now you have is he's the focal point. He's never played as the focal point. Everybody points to Brazil. He doesn't play as the focal point for Brazil. He pretty much is a penalty box striker for Brazil. All he does is stay in the penalty area for them, allowing for Neymar and for Vinicius to run with the ball and find him in the penalty box. He doesn't build up the play as much. And sadly, I really believe that as a result of this, in the same way with Aubameyang, because Ange is quite strict with his system, he's quite stubborn, he's going to get exposed. And I think in 4 to 5 games, he's going to get dropped. My final point is that the worry that you guys have is that he doesn't seem to me as having the best type of character. So the moment he starts getting dropped for Son, who's not a legitimate center forward in a way, who's not a recognized number 9, he's going to throw his toys out of the pram like he did last season, even though he was horrendous last season. And it was funny when Antonio Conte did his press conference, he kind of hinted at it, like, he didn't say it, but he pretty much said, like, I can't believe this guy is actually questioning me when he's played like crap. He pretty much said it. So Richarlison does have a history of not liking being benched. So this, in my opinion, Ange is going to have to deal with this in maybe 5 or 10 games where he will bench him. I just don't think he fits the actual system. That's why.
Connor, our front three. How does the Spurs fix that front three? Oh, I can't hear you.
Sorry. Yeah. I think it's too late to now say go get a striker. Because you're coming now towards the end of the transfer window. I think striker may be out of the asking price. I'm not too sure because the way we look at it, the striker market, as much as people want strikers, it's a very difficult part of the market, and majority of the time you're going to be paying a lot of money for these strikers. Now, obviously, you've just received 100 million from Bayern Munich for Harry Kane. I was Levy, there are some quality strikers still in the Premier. I think Ollie Watkins would fit in perfectly at Spurs, in my opinion. You got the likes of Jonathan David out in Lille. I think he's a quality striker as well. Yeah. There's options. As much as I think Richarlison maybe could have his season and maybe show people wrong, it's not 100%, especially the way he was playing at the end of last season. I mean, I think Son, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see because obviously it's always been Son and Kane, the perfect partnership. It's always been that. And now he doesn't have Kane there. I mean, we saw glimpses of it against Brentford. I think it's going to be a very difficult season for Son because obviously he's been used to Harry Kane next to him for the past how many years? 7 years? So it's going to be interesting. I think Kulusevski, I think that's a good move bringing him back into Tottenham. I think he's got skill. He's got talent. I think he's a good option to have. I'm trying to think who else you guys have got up front. Because obviously
Solomon. They have Solomon. They signed him.
Yeah, you got Manuel Solomon. Obviously had the injury with Fulham last season, so he didn't play much games. I mean, I remember we were trying to get him at one point a couple of seasons ago. He could come through. I mean, you've got options. If worse comes to worse, you can put Dane Scarlett up front. So there you go.
I said it.
What is he that not ready? Like the fact, the other worrying part is that you signed the guy.
He was never going to be ready with Conte. Mourinho, Conte would not play.
Okay, then. Okay, send him on loan. If you keep him now at the club, his development stalls again. And there's a reason why your academy has been awful in the last few years. Is because of you don't plan for any of your players. Like, for example, I read Arsenal. One of the major reasons why we didn't sign another number 8 midfielder is because in our academy at the moment, we have two really big, talented players that play in that position. So we're planning to integrate them into the squad. And not only that, we need to show them that we have a pathway for you. If you train well, if you improve, we can actually.
Yes and no, Stefan, because Pepe. My question is, be objective. If Pepe had become good, would Saka had as much football?
That's
Yes. I disagree. Saka. If you remember, Matthew, Saka didn't start at right wing. He started first at left back, and then he played at left wing. Then Arteta, in his first full season, moved him to right wing because Pepe wasn't playing well. Saka would have played because Saka's a quality player.
But where? What position would have Saka
He would have, in my opinion, watching him, Saka would have either played at left wing or he would have played in the number 10 role, in my opinion.
Yeah, the point I'm making is that if you've got talent, it should come through. You know, we had the same thing with Harry Kane. We had Soldado and Adebayor in front of him. But if you've got talent, you break the door down. You know, your talent becomes impossible for you not to get picked. So I think Saka, I'm just questioning a little bit. You're talking about this conveyor belt of talent, because I think you've also signed. When you bought Pepe, I just didn't see it for that money. I just didn't see the logic in that.
I don't think I saw it either.
No, Matthew, that's not true, because Arsenal fans were going crazy about Pepe because he was the hottest thing in Europe at that time, one of the hottest wingers in terms of stats.
I said in France, maybe not in Europe. I just said
but they had. Yeah, of course, but they had watched Pepe absolutely tear apart PSG, you know, and a lot of Arsenal fans were high. I personally, Connor, wanted Zaha. I really wanted Zaha.
Yeah, no, same. I wanted Zaha as well.
Yeah, but going back to that, your point is true, Matthew. But the example that you gave of Harry Kane is a poor one, because that wasn't planned because of his quality. Soldado and Adebayor were so bad that year that he had to go to Harry Kane. And with Arteta, the first game he was in charge against Bournemouth, he played Saka at left back. So Arteta believed in him early on. The one that you can point out to that was completely accidental and forced was Smith Rowe, because we were awful. We had lacked creativity. And then in his first game, which was Chelsea at home, he started Smith Rowe, and Smith Rowe did really well. And we won 3-1. That's an example of where you could say, yeah, that was a bit of luck. But with Saka, I honestly think that he would have played and Arteta would have found a position for him. What I'm saying now is you can point to the Pepe example, but that was when our club was poorly run, Matthew. That was when our club was run.
That's the point. That's the point. So, yeah. So my point is, yes, the production line looks a little bit healthier now, because you've made a few changes in the boardroom and whatever else. But I don't think it was set up like that. I think you stumbled on it with players like Saka and that came through. I don't think it was built like that. I think you stumbled on it because you were doing so bad for 5 or 6 years.
No, but of course, but there's a reason why Arsenal spent, I think it was £20 million on actually renovating their youth setup. It's in these type of moments when your team is struggling that you need some sort of rejuvenation. You need some sort of inspiration, and it usually comes through the academy. I mean, if you look at Man United in the 90s when they were super successful, their key was their academy. Arsenal believe in this, but because now we're extremely well run, we have two really good academy players. We have one of the most talented players of his age group in terms of every single team around the world wanted him, in Ethan Nwaneri. He's supremely talented. If you read any sort of reports about him, that they expect him to break through into the first team very soon. Yeah, it's never a sure thing, but in order for us to keep him, because he was on the verge of leaving, Arteta showed him, he spoke to him, and he showed him that, okay, we have a plan for you. The problem with Spurs is that you don't have that. You say you sign him to a new deal, you You tell Dane Scarlett, we're gonna play you, we're gonna develop you, and then 2 months later, you sign Velis for 20 million euros.
Stefan,
And then
I think a lot of it too is just it sometimes in life and in sports, sometimes it's just those chances come. Because
Yeah, that's true.
Even with Kane, if Soldado didn't come good, and then those loans, because remember Kane was loaned out what, 3-4 times. I mean, he was loaned out, and it just the right time, perfect storm in the right time, and so because like I said, because I remember when you guys got Pepe, yeah, my best friend was talking about soccer, but it wasn't like okay, he is going to be the formal point of
Yeah.
how we build this team. Now it's just like okay, how everything has turned out. Yes, now Saka, everything's built around him. And
I
his
think
team.
I personally believe,
It's a
and
good mixture of both.
Arsenal fans may disagree with me. I think Saka, honestly, was pot luck, i.e., getting him into the team at that point. Because I'm going to say this why? Because let's keep it real, and I'm going to keep it real. I don't think over half of the Arsenal fan base knew who Saka was the season prior.
That's true.
To the team.
I'll agree with Connor.
Right, and then going back to your point earlier, Stefan, with Wanyeri, I can't pronounce his name properly. I'm gonna be honest. Until he came on for Brentford, because he made that record, whatever it was, you're 15 or 16, you're coming on youngest player. Never heard of him beforehand. And the fact that we've offered him a new deal, how many times? And I can name so many players we offered these youngsters that we've had contracts, and they were loaned until they're 23, 24, and then they're gone. Matt Smith, he was with us last season. He was with the FA Cup winning team.
Yeah, but he was never
reserves. Loaned him. We've sold him again. Amari Hutchinson, the amount of times we said we keep him, we've just got him off to Chelsea, and now he's off on loan again. We don't have
Connor.
We don't have that Chelsea academy to say these
Connor,
guys.
That's not Real Madrid side Endrick, and everybody knows about Endrick, 15-year-old, 6-year-old, right? They're preparing for Endrick because Endrick is going to be all world. It's going to be a Brazilian front three, Rodrigo, Endrick, and Vinicius Jr. Where Osaka was just like, oh wow, okay, man.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But let's be real. And yes, like Mr. Post Office says, there's the guys in the academy that probably knew how good he was. But let's keep it real. He was probably in the squad for reserves. They were like, right, let's just test the water and see what we can do with him. And it was probably pot luck that he came in and came very good. And it's like this exact situation we said earlier. Pepe wasn't having a good run. Right, let's try this kid. Let's put him in a couple of Europa League games as well and watch him fire. Remember the Frankfurt game? He was fantastic. And so there's always situations where these players are going to come in. But I don't think
Wayne Rooney.
I don't.
Lionel Messi. Their names were talked about.
Okay, we're not. I mean, okay. Are you seriously saying they're like the greatest player of all time? Like, that's a poor example, Mari.
He asked the question. Mr. Post asked the question. So
okay, but like, but we're saying what we're trying to. What Connor, I agree with him because if I remember, Saka played left back in the first game of Arteta's reign because Tierney was injured. I remember that. So I agree with him that not enough people knew Saka. However, this concept that Arsenal doesn't do as well as Chelsea's academy is utter, in my opinion, bullshit because we do well. The problem is we don't sell well like Chelsea do. If you look at the amount of Arsenal players that play
Stefan, name me more than 5 successful academy kids you've had in the last 5 to 10 years.
I can name. We have the only other team that has more academy players from our academy that play in the top 5 leagues in world football in terms of minutes, Connor, is Ajax. Chelsea does not have as many players. If you check the amount of minutes per in terms of former Arsenal. We just don't sell them well. That's the problem, Connor. If you look at, for example,
I can give you overselling, Stefan. Talent will show.
No, it's not because if you look at look at some of the players that are good now and what happened to Serge Gnabry is potentially worth now probably around 60-70 million. at his best at Bayern Munich, he's had a few injuries. He was one of the best wingers in the world. We sold him for 2 million to Werder Bremen. Okay, Benacer at Milan. Right now, Benacer is one of the best midfielders in the Italian league. He's probably worth around 40 to 50 million euros, I would say, easily. Then Daniel Malin, who moved to Dortmund for like 30 to 35 million from PSV. We sold him for free to PSV. There are numerous players where we screwed up, where we didn't see the value in terms of loaning them out. The other difference is that Chelsea gave them why they're so good at selling is because Chelsea would give these type of potential youngsters that they could sell on in the future extortionate wages that were just not realistic for the level that they were or the age that they were. Like, for example, Callum Hudson-Odoi was on 160 is on 160K currently. Ruben Loftus-Cheek had to take a pay cut to go to Milan because he was on 140K. That's why Chelsea managed to keep them and then sell them. I'm not saying Chelsea's academy is great, but when Arsenal, especially Arsenal fans that say Arsenal's academy is really good, it was just because before, especially in the latter years of Wenger and the rules on here, we were so poor in terms of maintaining our youth players, giving them the right loans. Chelsea had a loans manager 10 years ago. We started having a loans manager, I think, in 2018 or 2019.
Stefan, you're trying to say that you think that we have a better academy than Chelsea?
I'm not saying we have a better academy of Chelsea because the best barometer of an academy, when you listen,
Chelsea have the best academy in probably world football.
I disagree. I don't think they do.
I'm on transfer market right now. I can literally name players that have come to the academy, and there's pages upon pages. Arsenal, Serge Gnabry, Daniel Marlin, Benacer, Rennie Adelaide, and that's probably it. Them 4 players that have come out of the academy that we got rid of.
No, that's not.
The last 5 to 7 years.
Wait. Mavididi, another player that recently moved. Okay, no, I can name you. If you check the amount of minutes former academy products based on the amount of minutes they play in the top 5 leagues, Arsenal are second. Arsenal are second. That is not true, man. Check this. The fact that Chelsea are elite and they're the best and it's nowhere near Connor, and I'll give it to you, is where is how they sell these players. That I agree with. That I cannot deny. However, it's not like Arsenal haven't sold their academy players well. We sold Iwobi for 40 million. We sold Willock for 30 million. We've done some good sales. And now I honestly do believe in the last 2 weeks, somebody is going to bite and they're going to pay 40 to 50 million for Balogun. 100%. 100%. Because somebody will. Yeah.
Well, let's
Spurs.
Let's move on because we'll talk about another day who has the best scouts and best academy. The big
Easy.
Chelsea.
Big injury.
It's not Chelsea at the moment. It's Man City, guys. It's really Man City now. Chelsea aren't the same.
Neck and neck.
I'd rate Man City now, but I'd still go for Chelsea.
Yeah. The Timber injury. Out of both teams, luckily we usually get an injury. Well, because I'm not counting Romero's concussion, but this was a huge injury of 6 to 7 months for a player who's very versatile, a person who is for depth, right? Because now you guys are going to go for all the cups, domestic cups, the league, and Champions League. Within these 2 weeks, do they get someone in for Timber? I know they had the rumor Hincapié, who's a bit aggressive.
No. Oh my God.
Timber. But we'll start with Connor.
I'm ready to rant, Mari. I'm ready to rant, mate. This has gone. Oh, okay, right. Well, the first thing I'm going to say with this is I hope he gets fit soon and well soon, because that's probably what he's just received is probably one of the worst injuries you can get in football, and still carry on playing the game. So I want to make it clear that we brought in this guy to cover all positions. I didn't actually know he could play left back until he actually joined the club. I thought it was mainly for centre back and right back. The fact that we know he can play left back, he was practically the ultimate signing that we could have got for cheap in a defensive role, because he can play everywhere. If we've got an injury, whack in Timber. There's that versatility, as much as we love to say it. Now, the fact that we've brought him in for this amount of money, really cheap, all right? And to be fair play, he's been starting games. I didn't think he'd get into the team straight away. But I'm going to talk to you about that Nottingham Forest game. We could see just before half-time, he knew he had discomfort in his leg. And this is where I'm going to go at Mikel Arteta here, so Arsenal fans might not be happy.
What?
You could see he had discomfort in his leg before he went off at half-time, right? If
Yeah.
you're a manager, and I'm going to go back to Postecoglou, and this is why Postecoglou is more man management than Mikel Arteta.
Oh my!
No, yeah, Stefan, wait for it, man. Wait for it, bro. Wait for it. He's won a lot more than Mikel Arteta. He's way more experienced. So here we go.
No, yeah. I'm sure the Japanese league and the Scottish league are very prestigious.
If I was the manager of Arsenal and I see that our new signing, who we know, if we take him out, we've got the same defence as last season. There's no changes. There's no changes to last season. It's the same defence, same weaknesses at left back, so on and so forth. If we carry on playing with an injury, with a little niggle in his leg, we're going to make it worse, which we did. If I was Arteta and I went into that, we got 15 minutes to think about this. It's not like we're on the pitch thinking, right, what do we do? We had 15 to 20 minutes to think about this. If I was him, I'd say, right, you've just come in. I don't like the fact you've got this. We've got options on the bench and Tomiyasu, Kivior. We could ride it out. You're on the bench. We're going to assess you after the game because I don't want you getting injured. The fact that he had the audacity to then send him back on when he knew damn well, and he did know, because I could see it, and I think a lot of other Arsenal fans could see it. He knew he had an injury. And the fact that Stefan, one sec, bro. And the fact that he brought him back on shows so lack of judgment and so lack of man management. And I'm going to go back to Brentford v Tottenham. Romero scored that goal. He knew he had concussion and took him off. Even though he is your best defender, in my opinion, best defender, he still had the guts to take him off and say, I don't want you injured, because you injured messes up our season. And that's what he done. And that's why Postecoglou is more man management in that situation than Arteta. And now Arteta has done what he's done. And I can go back to when Thomas Partey first joined against Tottenham. He had an injury. He walked off the side of the pitch, and Thomas Partey said, I can't do it. He fully shoved him back onto the pitch to make a run back to the defence. And yeah, he shouldn't have gone off, but he knew he had a problem wrong. He didn't want to make it worse. But Arteta fully shoved, you could see it, shoved him back onto that pitch and said, yo, go back and get the ball. And he made the injury worse. So this isn't the first time Arteta's done this. And the fact that he's gone ahead and shoved him back on and it was Arteta, he's made this injury worse. And now we've got no more, and now we can't use the excuse of we've got a better defence because we've got the exact same defence as last season. Need I say more? If Saliba gets injured, if Saliba gets injured or Gabriel, it's back to Kivior and Rob Holding. Need I say more?
Please let me have this. Please let me have this. Please let me respond.
He's not from America. Please, you want to start Tommy G?
England, bro, England.
Tommy G. Well, I think he's talking about Stefan. Stefan is European. He's from Eastern Europe. He's not from America.
I'm from Bulgaria, guys. Like for the 18th time, I'm not American.
And the point is, because I'm cool with Tommy G, but why does it always have to be American? Do you know how many Europeans who live in America who descended bloods? Like my family is from the Caribbean, where they love football. From England, from France, right? If you know my full name, and I have family from the Basque country in Spain, Bilbao. So it's a little offensive when people say like America. Like,
Mari, just let them talk, man. Just please let me respond because I'm furious. Please let me respond to him because that's just first of all, Connor. The example that you gave with Romero, the doctors checked him. They told him that he failed his concussion test, and Ange took him off. It wasn't like Ange suddenly decided, no, you've got to come off. Second of all, if you read the reports about Timber and everything they've said, Timber, the medical team double-checked him. Trust me, if you've played sport, I have played sport. If you have an ACL injury, you cannot put any weight on your knee. You can't even walk whatsoever. So they immediately can do a test on his leg and they will see if he has an ACL, even a sprain. They will test his knee and he will fail the actual test. He was completely fine. It was a completely freak injury where he came on, and even 2 hours after the injury, after he came on, I don't know if you read, he had no pain, nothing. Then suddenly when they did the scan, the mere fact that you're saying that Arteta should have taken it. What should he have done? Should he have not listened to the medical team who said he hasn't failed any tests, he doesn't have any pain, so it's Arteta's fault that he listened to his medical team?
You can see the players coming off in discomfort. You know,
What
in
do you
your
mean
mind, you could see him, and I get the other people. I get the people in the comments saying it's the other leg. Okay, fair enough, it's the other leg. My mistake. But even if you can see it's the other leg and it's discomfort, and this is your signing that you've brought in to cover all these positions, and you know how good he is from these last couple of games. If I'm Arteta, and I don't know about you guys as well on the panel, if that's me, and I'm not even Arteta, if I'm the manager of Arsenal, I'm seeing that, I'm saying, yo, we've got to bench him. I'm not risking this. I can't risk this signing.
How soft? Wait, have you ever played sport? Have you ever played like a good, decent level sport?
Yeah, I played sport.
Would you as a player who you get a knock? It's a knock. It looks like a knock. The medical team checks it. He doesn't fail any of the ligament tests, any of the rupture tests, or all the tests that they do for 15 minutes. By the way, they didn't just test him on the field, Connor. They tested him for 15 minutes. He even did a warm up prior to the second half starting.
Were you in the changing room?
He was fine. What?
Were you in the changing room?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Because I don't know where you're getting this all from. I didn't see this anywhere.
No, okay. So your inference that Arteta should have listened to him is okay. That's true.
If you see a player with a knock, you shouldn't risk keeping him on, and especially from the outcome that we've just seen happen. Why it just doesn't make sense that we should have kept him on the field, especially when we've got options on the bench. It just doesn't. We're 2-0 up. It's not like, well, we were going to drop it in that second half because the second half we were poor. But we're 2-0 up. Why keep him on the field? It's not that.
He had no pain. He had no pain, no problems with his knee, no failed tests. The medical team told him he's okay.
How many times have we signed players and they've got injured straight away? Thomas Partey, perfect example.
Thomas Partey, okay. That I agree in terms of that. He came to Arsenal and got injured. That's true. He was never injured at Atletico. But ACL injuries, Connor, you cannot train for ACL injuries. They do not happen from a lack of training. If he had torn his hamstring, or he had torn his calf muscle, or he had torn his quadriceps, that is from usually a lack of preparation or a lack of training. ACL injuries and broken bones do not happen from poor preparation or from wrong preparation. ACL injuries usually happen from a sudden twist or wear and tear. Let's say Timber has played 30 games in a row with no rest, and suddenly he puts weight on his knee. The same thing happened with the Spurs player Bentancur. He had played numerous games over and over again with no rest, and then against Leicester, it went. Timber had a month break, and this was his first game of the season. And you're telling me because he had a bit of a knock, Arteta has to read his fucking mind and take him off? What is this excuse for Arsenal fans to just shit on to this?
Listen, now look at it. If we didn't take him off, he wouldn't be out for 6 to 7 months. No, and I go back, Mr. Post Office. The amount of times we've kept Saka on the field, he literally came out and said last season he was finishing the season with an injury, and he kept him playing. This medical team, I swear, we've just got rid of Gary O'Driscoll, the head of our medical team. He's just gone off to Manchester United, and I think that's a good thing because this medical team needs having a proper checkout.
How we have.
I will say this because we got to get to preview the games.
Yeah.
I will say this. The medical teams around the world is kind of scary because Son has played the rest of the season through injury and he had to get surgery, and so it's almost telling.
It depends on the injury. Some players can manage.
I just think it's crazy that he came on 5 minutes, second half, and he already got the injury, and you can't tell that. I know you can say
Connor, Pep was the same. Everybody knew De Bruyne was injured for the last 2 or 3 months of the season with a pretty much a torn hamstring. He played him. He continued to play him.
And now look at him now.
And look at him now, yeah. So that was
look at him now. So what? Connor, it's a results business. You have to play the players. You have to perform.
I don't think that's right.
Oh, right.
What is the softness? He has a knock. Take him off.
It is it's bad that you play the player knowing that he has a knock, but it's also results business. So both
Mari,
things
he didn't know he had a knock. The medical team checked him. He had no pain. He didn't fail any tests. How is that a knock?
Yeah.
That's not a
What were you
knock.
just Matthew, before we move on?
Yeah.
For me, I think it's a big blow. I think it's I really like Timber.
Massive.
I think he looks a really, really good player.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
agree.
that's a big blow. I think
Huge.
you guys watch Arsenal every week, but I've just been really surprised with how he's handled Tierney. What's the story with Tierney? Does he just not fit your system, or because
Yeah,
he's another
exactly.
player I really like?
He's not inverted.
Exactly.
He's not inverted. He's a classic left back, in my opinion, fantastic left back. And because he doesn't play inverted football, he can't play. It's as simple as that. And it's unfortunate because he's a fantastic left back, and he'll go to the likes of Matthew. He goes to the likes of Newcastle and tear it up there, absolutely tear it up. And I don't know why.
I completely agree with Connor. He just doesn't have the technique or skill level to play inverted. He's a classic, running, kind of marauding left back that Arteta, he likes ball security. He rates ball security more than, let's say, the game that Tierney has and his strengths. And as a result of this, I think we're gonna sell Tierney. I'm shocked that there's no wanted parties, because I really think Tierney, in terms of as a pure left back, can play for any of the, apart from Man City. I think Tierney would be perfect at Liverpool. I really do. I think he would be perfect the way they actually play. I think he would be perfect right now for Chelsea, the way Chelsea play with Poch.
In my opinion, any team.
Yeah. I'm not Man City, Connor, because he just doesn't have the.
There's any team that doesn't play inverted football, not literally, because at the end of the day, we're playing this inverted football because of Alexander Zinchenko. Because as soon as he came into the club, Arteta said you're playing a midfielder role, because that's why he left Manchester City. He didn't want to be left back anymore, and I can see why. Because defensively, he's I wouldn't say terrible, but he's poor.
He's okay.
There was a lot of moments last season where he did cost us, in my opinion. So listen, he came in and he's like, listen, he obviously wanted to play midfielder role. Arteta promised him that, and that's why we're playing inverted football, and that's what's completely ransacked Tierney out of the team. Just completely.
No, Spurs should be interested. If Spurs are smart,
I don't want Spurs interested in him.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. If Spurs,
if we're smart, that was the key word. Before we go into the subject, big up to Tommy G. Yeah, miscommunication, stuff like that. But no, big up. Love my training people, my soca people, my soca boys, my soca girls. Trinidadian food, the best. One of my best friends who I work with is Trinidadian, and I can't wait to go back. So big up, island boys and whatsoever, and so I don't know, because people. I don't know, it's weird, and maybe it'll be for that subject. But sometimes people say, they say the FIFA or Football Manager, and sometimes they associate that with Americans. And football has gone a long, long way in America, but also too, America's a melting pot. You got so many people in Orlando. You have so many people from England that live here, and who have like established roots here, and they support Spurs, Arsenal. Forest. I ran into some Burnley fans. I'm like, oh wow, okay, you guys visited from London? Like, no, they moved here for work. They work for Amazon. So it's just yeah.
Ignore these comments, man. People are stupid.
No, he's good. He's good. No, he's good.
Yeah.
He's good. And a big up. So big up to Tommy G. And just misunderstanding, but big up. But let's preview Spurs United preview. I will go first, and then I will go to Brother Matt. Last night, my opinion has changed from Friday to Friday. Well, actually, from Sunday to yesterday, in the sense of I had us getting pumped 3-1, 4-1, because of the defense. Really, because of the defense.
Always, Mario, you're always the most optimistic Spurs fan. That's what I've noticed.
Yeah. But I'm changing it. It's that
Man United are crap, Mary. They're crap. Like, you can beat them.
Rashford, man. I mean, people are forgetting what he did to us last year. Like literally,
It finished 2-2, Mari. It finished 2-2, man.
I understand, but still, it's just well. So I've changed. I've changed. I think it's somewhere we're going to score. I think the game's going to be open. It's not going to be with Richarlison. I think the goals are going to come from the midfield. That's going to get one. I think Sonny's going to get one, and I think someone from the defense is going to get one. I have 3-3. Another draw.
Who's going to score these goals?
I'll take it. I think it's going to be a 3-3 draw. It could be another Desmond 2-2. I'm going to go 3-3. This is much more exciting. I'm going with a draw, 3-3. Matthew, your prediction for Saturday.
I'm going to say 2-1 to Spurs. And I think
optimistic.
Man U are going to score first. And I think we're going to score just before half time to make it 1-1. And then second half, 2-1. I don't know the scorers, but I think it's going to be a very fast-paced action 2-1.
Okay. Connor, do you want to go or shall I?
Yeah, no, I'll happily go. I think, do you know what? I think this is going to be a very good game to watch. It's difficult because I feel like, Spurs and United are sort of on the same wavelength at the moment. There's two teams missing something, in my opinion. There's two teams, in my opinion, missing, a striker. I think that's very obvious. That's why we're questioning where the goal was coming from. I look at United. They've got, in my opinion, as what I hate to say it because I want him to come to Arsenal, two great defenders in Martinez and Varane. Martinez, man, do you know what? As much as people want to diss him for his height, he is vicious. He will take you out. You could be 6'7". He'll take you out if he wants to, and I think that's a good aspect to having a defender. But you look at the goalkeeper situation you guys have. I mean, I don't know your Mari and Matthew. I don't know your take on Vicario. When I've watched him, hasn't been great. It's been a bit hit.
Causes chaos, man. He's got
I want a bigger sample size because we had a big controversy.
Yeah. That's the thing, though. You've got
Mari,
two.
I can feel it. Mari, I can feel it from one game, and he's got the Chesney gene.
I gotta be.
He's got the
fair.
Chesney gene. I can feel it.
He makes me. The ball at his feet. He makes me nervous, but I have to give him half a season. I have to. You see a 20-game sample. So I have to be fair. Does he make me nervous? Yeah, he does. But I have to be fair to see if he pans out. Maybe it's the first couple of games. So I have to be fair. I can't, someone called him, actually called him a clown. And I was just like, that's a bit harsh. That's really harsh.
Yeah. But he was just angry about Spurs in general, I think. He was harsh on Vicario.
But a big up to Anthony. But yeah, I need a bigger sample size because I want to be fair. I treat that with every player, Even with Charleston, when he was garbage for the first half of the season, I said, all right, maybe you have a better second half. Now I'm saying he's garbage. But his play, not him, but his play. But
I think Vicario, he's. I do think he's going to be a very good keeper for Spurs, but he reminds me a little bit of a younger Lloris with the ball at his feet.
Yeah.
So when we used to knock the ball back to Lloris, you kind of used to be like until he kicked it out for a throw-in, and a couple of times in the first half, the weekend, he looked really, really nervous with the ball at his feet. I think shot stopping, I think he's going to be very good. And I think he's going to learn to pick when he can come off his line. I think he's going to learn that as the games go on.
That's his strength.
Guys, I've got the perfect Spurs analogy for you with Vicario, who he reminds me of from a Spurs perspective. He's similar height, has the penchant for amazing saves, but also has a knack for doing absolutely what the hell are you doing? Heurelho Gomez. He reminds me of Heurelho Gomez.
No.
He has the chaos gene. He has the where he does a ridiculous save and then after that he comes out of his area for some stupid reason and gets a red card. Like he has, I can, when I watch him play, especially with the ball at his feet, it's just when you guys pass it, you could see that when they pass to him, the defenders are also nervous in terms of the way the way it actually happens. So
I think it's a new
with
system.
Vicario, I will also
Correct.
give him 6 months because I think it's harsh. To say
I
this.
think he's just come in. I personally myself, I don't like judging a player as soon as he comes in. I can relate to Kai Havertz. As much as Arsenal fans, a lot of them don't want him at the club, and I'm not going to lie, the price tag does annoy me a bit, like a lot of Arsenal fans. But I'm always willing to give a player a shot. Now he's been at Chelsea for 3 seasons. He knows what the Premier League is. If I was him, I'd be like, all right, I'm coming to Arsenal to show people up what I want to do. Has he done that yet? No. That's why I'm a bit now thinking, right, here we go again, another Chelsea player that we just bought for so much money and he's now going to turn out bad. So, yeah, I'm going to give him maybe 10 to 15 games and just see if he does. I want to get him to get a couple goals and assists, but if it's not anything more than that, then I'm sorry, he's got to go. But, sorry, back on to Spurs United. Personally, I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. I just can't see a particular team winning, and that's why I say both teams have got same aspects. Sorry, they've got 2 strikers missing. They don't have Højlund in the team at United. You just lost Harry Kane. I know you got Richarlison, but we talked about that. Goalkeepers, 2 new goalkeepers have just come into the club. Found their feet. Should it have been a penalty the other day against Wolves? I think it should have been a penalty. Onana doesn't think it, but I think
what do you mean should have? It should have been 2 penalties, man. It was so obvious.
Yeah, Onana, I think, was a little bit on the defensive side in his interview afterwards, because that should have been a penalty in my opinion. But listen, I think it's going to be a game to see who's really coming out strong in this season, because as much as it's only the second game of the season, I'll be interested to see a Tottenham really wanting to go for it, a United wanting to go for it, because obviously a lot of people have already put United, some even in the top 2 this season, to get second. So it will be interesting. I'm going to personally go for a 2-2 just because I can't see a winner, personally, a winning team.
I'm just impressed with all of you with the high scoring predictions. Like, both teams cannot score goals, guys. Like, when Mari says 3-3, I'm trying to rack my brain who's going to score 3 goals from both Spurs and Man United, because both teams, since maybe not last season because of Kane, but now I think Spurs are going to struggle a little bit.
And mind you, I used to call him.
Yeah, but Rashford.
I'm going to be fair. I used to call him Marcus Trashford, because I thought he was Trashford.
Wait, but
especially for England. I am like, oh man, this guy. But I gotta give him his props.
Yeah.
I mean,
look, he's had in the last 6 to 7 years, he's had 2 very good years. So yes, last season he was sensational. But the thing with Marcus Rashford is, in my opinion, what I've noticed with him is he's extremely hot and cold. He will score 15 goals in 15 games or more, and then he will go goalless for 8 or 9 games.
Think he can get hot on that Spurs defense?
If you ask me my personal prediction, I honestly think it'll be a 1-0 win to Man United, and it'll be a Rashford. It'll be literally, you outplay them. You'll play better than them. You have chances. Richarlison's gonna screw up. He will miss them, and then Man United are gonna do 1 ball over the top of your defense. Rashford is gonna, run with it and then score and then steal 3 points from you guys. That is what I think is going to happen. However,
he may do it too. When I say United's going to score 3 goals, he may have a hat trick. He may score a hat trick. Like
Mari, relax, man. Man United cannot score goals, man. Like I
think when Højlund comes in, I'll be interested to see how he does, because I know he's come not that much higher than Atalanta. Not that many goals.
But Connor, this was another ridiculous decision. Like,
what a legend she is. Big up Mama Flossie.
But this was another a very questionable decision, because the guy in the most attacking team in Italy, who score always a huge amount of goals, only scored 8 goals in 36 games, and he's coming to the Premier League, where there's always Premier League tax, where your numbers get reduced by at least 20 to 30%. So I don't think he's solving I really don't think he's gonna.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Can I ask quickly one question, Murray, to Stefan? I
Yeah.
won't like debate it or anything. I just want to ask him a question because I'm curious. If and don't count the Community Shield, if Arteta doesn't win anything this season, would you keep him for next season?
If Arteta doesn't win anything this season,
would you sack him if you were the board? What would you do? I'm just curious.
Based on because I try and like watch a lot of sports. So in terms of because the Kroenkes own a number of franchises, and I just think they always think long term. So if you look at the franchises that won them, the Super Bowl, the NBA championship, even in the seasons where they might have underachieved in terms of with the expectations, they still kept the coach. So based on where Arsenal was 5 to 6 years ago before Arteta was there, and if Arteta finishes, in my opinion, the minimum finish that he has to have a title challenge this year, and I would expect either second or first. I would only fire him, Connor, if he doesn't finish in the top 4. I would only fire him then. I wouldn't fire him if he finishes third. I just don't see anybody being better than us in terms of. I don't see I watch Man United. Their midfield, you can park a jumbo jet there. It's so open. It's a disgrace. Like it's shocking. It's shocking. Right? So I'm not worried about them. I think Chelsea are a dumpster fire where they're just signing players just like last year for the sake of it. Now, huh?
Yeah, but last thing. So I just think 700 million spent nearly. We're coming up close to $1 billion.
They need to finish in the top 4 minimum.
Be silverware. There is teams that would kill for that cash, and that I think would really go ahead and succeed.
Top 4, like not only him, but
we have to, guys.
You've got to. I would take a trophy over top 4 any day. We need to win a
cup. I agree. In terms of, if you ask my honest prediction, what I expect this year based on the amount of money we've spent, the way we've progressed and stuff, I expect us to either challenge for the league, finish second at worst, and get to at least, I would say, the quarterfinals of the Champions League. What
about the cups? I think we'll go.
To be honestly, Connor, I really don't like. We've won enough FA Cups. Like, I would like us to win a cup, but our priority. I want us to win. Wait, don't interrupt me. Wait, I want us to win the league. We haven't won the league in 20 years.
But you'd still take silverware, right? Like, even if the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup are still.
No, Connor. Of course, I'm not. I'm not like saying, "Oh, screw this."
Yeah.
I'm just saying, for me, my 2 main priorities is I want to see us in the highest level competition, which is the league position and the Champions League. My minimum expectation is second, and my expectation for the Champions League is quarterfinals, because based on the money we've spent, the way we've looked, we played against Barca in the preseason and we tore them apart. They're the champions of Spain. So in terms of, if we can beat Barca in that way, because that scoreline really flattered them, like, if we can do that, I think we should be able to play against the top teams nowadays and either put up a really good fight or beat them. So I'm expecting this. The Timber injury is a huge blow because he really improved the way we actually played. But I still think we have enough in terms of to replace him. But I do think sorry to keep going, but that's my expectation. I wouldn't fire Arteta. I really wouldn't fire him now.
If he doesn't win silverware this season, you still keep him.
Look, I'll give you an example. A basketball. I don't know if you watch. Like, Denver Nuggets won their first NBA championship this year. Why did they win it? They had two really good players. One who's probably the best player in the NBA.
Football though, bro. It's in basketball. I'm just listen. The question I was only asking
it's similar.
If we don't win silverware, would you keep him? If we don't win silverware, would you keep him for next season? That's the question I'm asking.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not so black and white, Connor. It's not so black. For example, if
we don't win silverware, would you keep Mikel Arteta next season? Yes or no? Yes or no?
It depends how he does in the league. It depends how he does in the champion. I don't really, honestly. If we finish second,
I wouldn't keep him personally. That's
So
fine.
you would fire him if we finish second to Man City with like 93,
A lot of
94
Arsenal
points.
fans,
Yes.
there's a
'Cause
lot of
I want trophies at the club.
No, but see, this is what I mean by like Arsenal
Would you
fans.
take
Like,
second every single year and keep him here if we get second for the next 5 years? Would you be happy?
Okay. Then by that logic, Liverpool should have fired Jurgen Klopp 3 years ago, Connor.
He won the
He
Champions
won in the
League.
Premier League and the Champions League.
He won Premier
Yeah,
League.
he won
And
them.
cups.
Everyone
And
won
won
them.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
and cup.
he won his first cups last year, the FA Cup and the League Cup.
Again,
Okay.
that's more than Arteta's done in the space of how many years? 4 years?
Yeah, wait. First of all, they both their trajectory is quite different. Jurgen Klopp, isn't doing as well since last year. He's not doing as well, and this year I don't predict Liverpool to be in the top 4 also. So it's not like you can't just say, oh, if he doesn't win silverware, it's over. Sometimes stuff happens where it goes against you.
But Stefan,
You get a terrible injury or something happens where, like for example,
Stefan,
last year.
your memo, your blueprint is first or nothing. I've watched you on shows. You don't care about storylines or who finished second or who finished third. It's not criticism, it's just an observation.
Yeah.
You're very much first or go home. So the question, hang on. The question that you've been asked, you're making exceptions now because it's Arteta, but if we get X amount of points or whatever else, just following you so far, your normal response would be yes, and you're changing your answer because it's Arteta.
No, Matthew. I think I don't know. Maybe I said I expect us. I think you're referring to one of the streams where I said I expect us to win the league next year. I do, but I never said if we don't win the league, I want to fire Arteta because Liverpool got 96 points and they still finished second. Like if we get a similar tally of points and we lose to Man City, are people gonna still call for him to leave the league because we didn't win the fucking FA Cup and League Cup? Who like honestly, like we've won we're the record holders for the FA Cup.
We might not
want us to win the league.
Might not be soon. At this point, people
who's going to take us over, Connor? We're 14.
Man United, who's behind us? Man United. They're chasing us.
Yeah.
Man City, if they carry on like this, they will end up catching up. There's a point, Stephen, where we can't just be saying seconds a trophy. It's good. It's a good thing.
Connor, we need to stop with these. Connor, this is our first year in the Champions League in 6 years. We need to stop with these ridiculous expectations where we have to win the league.
What about winning the cups? I want to win the cup. We've
won the cups, Connor. We won the cups when we were 8th. When we were fucking 8th, man.
Just because we don't win it, just because we won it once, doesn't mean we can win it again and again and again, Stefan. We need to be winning these things. And please,
Connor, we need to have bigger aspirations.
I know you guys want to end the show, so I'm just going to end it there myself.
Give me a score for the United game, Spurs United game.
2-2. 2-2.
1-0. 1-0 to
1-0. Okay, I was waiting for that.
United.
All right, so let's get to the Crystal Palace Arsenal game. This is where we end up the Palace Arsenal preview. As you guys know, Palace is a different team. The last time they played Arsenal, was it Patrick Vieira, the coach?
Yes.
Yeah. And so he had Arsenal's number in a weird way. Because I think we beat them.
Did he? Last year we beat them at.
We beat them like the last time we lost to Palace. I think it was.
2 years ago, 3-0. 3-0, 2 years ago. Remember?
Yeah, that was when Vieira was managing them then. Yeah.
For some reason, I thought they had beaten Arsenal.
No. Last year we beat them 2-0 at Selhurst Park, and then when they came to the Emirates, we thrashed them. I think 5-0.
It was 4-1. Yeah.
All big team, because I know they beat someone, and I was like, wow, I was really impressed. They don't have Zaha anymore.
Yeah.
But it's a team that I saw them play last week. Almost like an enigma in a way, because if you don't take them seriously, and is that Selhurst Park, you could drop points against them. So they're not. I would say Crystal Palace in my team. I wouldn't say they're a regulated team, but I would definitely say they're a bottom half team between the 11th and 15th. And so those are the games that you don't want to drop points. And so with Arsenal playing Crystal Palace, what is your prediction? What are you looking to see in that game? We'll start with Connor.
10 out of 10 performances. That's what I want from every game this season, in any game with Arsenal. We've got to be going to these places and getting wins. If we really want to go for this league title, like a lot of people are saying this season, we've got to be going to these teams and destroying them. To put it lightly, Man City are doing that, so why can't we go ahead and do it? So yeah, I think I'm more confident with the fact that their attacking options are definitely lowered than what they had last season. And I'm not the biggest fan of Roy Hodgson. I do think he's a bit past it now. I don't think he's sort of fully there anymore. As much as he's a great manager before with Crystal Palace and team even before that. Yeah, I think it's just sort of like a filler manager at this point. So yeah, I'm going there with confidence. I don't want Arteta testing stuff with Partey at right back and Ben White at centre back. It's got to be our strongest 11. Now Zinchenko's back. He's probably going to go into the left back position because obviously Timber's injured. I want Gabriel and Saliba. That's our partnership there. Ben White at right back and just no more fiddling with the team. Like he's had pre-season with these 3 players that he brought in to figure out his 11. I'd like to know now he's happy with a team that he wants to be playing every single game. So personally, I want to go there and think we're going to go ahead and destroy them. I really want to be confident in this one, but I've got to remember they are our bogey team. I'm going to go. Shall I be cocky? I'm going to go with a 3-0. 3-0. I'm going to go with a 3-0. Wow. I really think we'll go there and retake because we look
Monday
at last season.
Monday night lights at Selhurst Park.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 3-0. Listen, I think if we really, as many times they've said in interviews, players and manager, they want to go for it again this season. You've got to be going there and getting a big result.
No, I agree. Yeah, that's
why. Maybe 2. Do you know what? No, I'm going to go 2-0. 2-0 for me. 2-0.
Yeah.
I forgot to give my score. I have 2-1 Arsenal, and another 2-1 Arsenal, but it's another 2-1, like comfortable up 2-0, and Crystal Palace was a late goal, but it's 2-1.
Matthew, do you want to go or should I go with the prediction?
No, you go for it, Stefan.
I just want, because this is a show here. I just want to throw a little shot again at Connor. I'm sure Connor was the first person last year when Arteta didn't rotate anybody. Connor was like, you know what, I'm fed up. Like Arteta needs to change a few players. Now, when he's trying new things and, of course, maybe outdoing it with the Galaxy Brain stuff, I totally get Connor. Now people are criticizing him that he needs to settle on a team. Last year, they would be saying, oh, we're too predictable. We always have the same team. They need to be rested. But okay, forget that. Forget that little comment.
Here's a question. Well, at least say play because he's...
No. He's injured. He's
out.
Like...
I would say he's still out.
He's at least 1 month away from return. He had a really serious hamstring injury.
Yeah,
like in the summer. So he's nowhere. He's no chance he's coming back. But going back to,
but yet C to the fourth said Spurs fans have lowest IQ and ball knowledge, but he doesn't know.
Who does Scott support, Mike? Does anyone know who Scott actually supports?
Yeah, all he does is he shits on Spurs. Comment on Spurs, but like their takes on
him and TJ.
Sort of
who does he support? Is he a Tottenham fan?
No, he's a Spurs fan. Yeah, he's a
Spurs fan. Fair enough. Okay, cool. Fair enough.
No, but yeah, going back to in terms of what Connor said with Palace away, I expect similar to what Connor said. I hope Arteta doesn't do some Galaxy Brain stuff again.
Yeah. With
Partey at right back, even though I thought Partey for most of the game against Forest played well, apart from the last 15 minutes. I really think we should beat them because I just think their two main attacking outlets, apart from Eze, are not playing. So Zaha's gone, which is huge for them. Edward looks a bit better than before, like in terms of he managed to score a goal last weekend, and so that could be. But I think Saliba and Gabriel, or whoever plays in defense, Connor, now he's changing it up every game. He went from one extreme to he went from one extreme to the other now. We don't know who's gonna play, but I think because Palace are quite a physical team, I'm guessing he's gonna go back to Gabriel and Saliba again. I think they can deal with him, and then he played Jeffrey Schlupp. I checked at left wing, so I think we should be okay. Like their defensive Guehi and Anderson is good, but it's not like if we play our game, I think I'm gonna go with the Connor score. So because if you look at our form defensively, especially away from home, it's excellent. We usually keep clean sheets. So I'm gonna go for 2-0 too. Also, 2-0 to Arsenal. Matthew.
Matthew.
I think I'm gonna be a bit controversial. I think it's gonna be a 1-1 draw, and I think Palace are going to take the lead, and I think Arsenal are going to come back in the second half and dominate possession and score late on. I'm not sure. They've just signed. Haven't Palace just signed this tricky winger that's supposed to be quite?
Yeah, I think was he from the Brazilian league?
That's right.
Yeah.
Franca, are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
That was Franca, but he's not. He's still waiting on his work permit. He's out for this game.
Oh really? Oh,
okay.
So he's not playing.
Okay.
They have. If you look at their attacking options, they're really poor.
Yeah,
apart from Eze, they have nothing. Literally, they have nothing.
I forgot Elise was injured. I was like, okay, because all the transfer rumors about Elise going here.
Yeah.
So it makes you forget that he's not going to play.
No, if you look at their midfield is good. Like the guy who's linked with Liverpool, the core is a good player, but Declan Rice and Partey are levels above him, in my opinion. So we should be able to deal with him. The other thing is, Eddie Nketiah against Anderson. He tormented him.
Stefan, no, he's not playing. He's not playing.
Okay,
Trossard's playing. There's no Eddie Nketiah in my books.
The guy again. I don't think he's top quality, but he scored 16 goals from 18 starts. I mean, what do you got? Like, can anybody give him credit just once? Like is he? How can he be a bad player?
Is the better player. He is the better player. Come on.
I like Trossard.
I'm always great. I'm always giving credit to Eddie when he's scoring. But actually, do you know what? I'm not going to get into it because we'll go on for another 20 minutes. So I can't. But in my opinion, Trossard should be playing.
Why? Nketiah scored last game.
Yeah, Jez.
Why would you drop him?
Jez, I don't think you're blocked, bro. I don't think you are because you're still chatting.
You're able to post. You're not blocked. So
I don't think you are, but that's Jez. Everyone go check out his channel, Arsenal History and More. Jez, he's just hit 4K subscribers. He's an absolute legend, so make sure you go check him out.
Oh, congratulations. We need to have him on the show.
Get Jez on there. He's been supporting Arsenal since, is it the 60s, I think, Jez? So, yeah, he knows his stuff. So definitely get him on 100%.
Yeah, but Connor...
Have you on the show.
But
Connor, how are you going to drop Eddie when he played well and scored a goal against Forest?
Because Leandro Trossard offers a lot more. And it's facts. Come on, Stefan. You know
I like Trossard more as a player. Don't get me wrong, but how can you justify dropping Eddie Nketiah when he scored against Forest and played well?
I can understand that. I can get it. But just for me, as a more creative and, in my personal attacking player, I'm more versatile, as a lot of Arsenal fans like to use. He can go on the left. He can switch him. I remember when we had him in the team a couple of times. He was going back and forth with Martinelli, going onto the wing, but then coming into the centre role.
I love Trossard. I gave it
it's just I personally think he offers more to the team. That's why. That's personally why I play.
Very good player.
No, I love Trossard, but
28 mil. We've got to use him
like he scored 16 goals from 18 starts. Like that's almost Haaland level. If you look at I'm not saying
in a whole season.
No, from the last. If you check his stats from the last 18 games he started, which a lot of them are in the Premier League, he scored 16 goals. That's really good.
Nketiah.
Yeah, check. You guys can check.
Jesus, if that's true,
Yeah.
I've missed something nuts, but I didn't know.
No, I
But
saw the stat and I was like shocked. I was like, huh?
exactly, and
That's
nobody.
I
And
think you just don't see it enough. You know, as much as
I know. It's
Yeah.
Arsenal fan, like he scored.
Almost
If
deceptive stats.
he's like no, he's Nketiah is like if he scores the goal, people still say, oh, he scored a goal today, but I don't think he's good enough. If he doesn't score a goal, everybody says, oh, he's crap. He didn't score. Like he can't win. Like I almost kind of respect Eddie because he continues to fight. He continues to play. He continues to give it his all. He doesn't like complain about it or go on social media and say, oh, I'm being abused and stuff like this. Like that's why I respect him. Do I think he's top quality? No, but the stats are as Will would say, they're facts. They're under 16 goals from 18 starts. You cannot say okay, and then again, Connor's like, oh, we should drop him for Trossard after he scored a goal against Forest. It's like what like.
Then why did we
Okay.
bring in Trossard? This is the thing I don't understand. Why would we have brought in Trossard? if we're not-
Trossard was cover for Martinelli and for Saka. Nobody expected Trossard to play as a 9.
Yeah.
Connor, come on.
In my opinion, he's got to be playing, and
I agree.
He'll handle the
I
transfer.
have actually one more subject, but I want to tell. Yes, definitely. Let me get your info, Connor. If you get me that info,
Yeah, 100%,
or if you get that information, we will gladly do
100%.
that. Big up Arsenal, the history.
He's on. Jez is on tomorrow night on TJ Warren TV with me, him, and Dow doing the American Idiot show. So you'll find him on there as well. Absolute legend.
Okay. Oh, definitely. All right, I want a quick answer for this. A quick answer for this because it is kind of like the game of the weekend.
Oh yeah.
City,
Ooh.
Newcastle. City, Newcastle. I think 2 weeks ago I would have said I think City is going to win this. I have City dropping their first points. I have Newcastle,
Wow.
and then with the Heat, I think they come into the Etihad and they bring the first out. They
City.
I think they beat City. I think they
All
beat City 2-1. I have
Wow.
that's upset special. I don't even say upset. I'm gonna give Newcastle their props. I think Newcastle goes into City to the Etihad and they win 2-1. I think Isaac is going to score. I won't say a brace. I think they'll get a goal for someone for somewhere else.
Mari.
I just think this is the time where if you're gonna beat City, this is the time because they're teetering. I'm telling you, they're teetering. I think they drop points. 2-1.
I really need to have what you're having, man. First, a 3-3 prediction of two teams that can't score, and now a win for Newcastle, man. Like, wow, you're really going you're really going at it, man. Brave. Newcastle beating Man City in Manchester.
Yeah.
We've done the 5-1 the other day. I know it was against Aston Villa, but I don't disagree with Mari there. I do still think City may, especially at the Etihad, maybe at St James's Park could be different, but I don't see why they
If
couldn't
it was,
really go for it.
if it was at St James's Park, I would agree with that because they play at an intensity. Last season, if you guys
Scary
remember,
ground to go to now. I remember we went there. Remember we won 2-0 last season. The crowd was nuts.
Well, you know what they did to us?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. What was it 6-6? Yeah.
But do you guys not remember? Do you guys not remember what they did to City in the first 45 minutes? They were 3-1 up in 40 minutes against City. They absolutely tore them up, and then City came back through Haaland. Yep. So they can give them a scare, but I honestly think I have a different take. I think that Villa game flattered Newcastle because at 2-1 I thought Villa were the better team, and I thought Villa had the better chances. I just thought Newcastle were more clinical, and Mings. I think the Mings injury was key. It swung the game because Pau Torres came on. And he had no idea what he was doing on the pitch. Like he was all over the place.
Yeah.
So I think I think I think potentially it could be a draw, but I just think and the other thing that worries me about Newcastle is if you watch the Villa game, Newcastle defensively did not look very good.
First half. First half.
Even in the second half, what's his name? Cash missed an open goal. Ollie Watkins made Sven Botman go. I don't know. Go to the exits if you saw that, and then Pope made a really good save.
So they had first half. They should have. If they were more clinical in the first half, then it would have been different.
Villa, I honestly thought up until the Mings injury, I thought Villa were slightly the better team. I really did in terms of the chances they were creating and the way they were playing on the counterattack. So, but the worrying thing for me is the way they were opening up Newcastle. Man City have better players than Villa, so they will get chances against Newcastle. But let's see. I mean, I hope this is more hope than belief. I think that the game could finish 2-2. But that's my prediction. 2-2. That's more hope. That's more hope than realism. But yeah.
Matthew?
I think Man City. I think the fact that they're at home, and I just think they're just such a well-oiled machine that they know when to turn it on. You know, when they're playing Burnley or, you know, a mid-table team, they kind of just shadow box a little bit. But when they're I remember watching them when they played Liverpool in those must-win games. They just have this switch that they just go on to another level. Yeah. And I think Newcastle, they're very organised, but they lack.
Except that Tottenham.
Yeah,
but that's the problem. They don't see Tottenham as a threat, so they kind of relax a little bit.
That is true.
But I think they lack pace. Botman and Fabian Schär, they're not the quickest, and I think that will play. That will play into Haaland's hand. You need to be physically mobile when you're playing against him. So I just think it will be competitive for the first goal, but I think once Man City score,
I
think that
it depends. It depends on who scores first. If Man City score first, I think the game is done.
Yeah. I would agree. I would agree with that. If they score first,
I think Eddie Howe will set them up to just be very, very compact and, you know, try to contain them. But I think if Man City score first, I think it could be a 2 or 3-0 victory. So I think a convincing win for Man City.
If you guys remember last year's game at the Etihad, it was super close. Eddie Howe set them up exactly how Matthew said it, and they had 2 or 3 really good chances. I remember Joe Linton missed a sitter, and then City. I remember Foden came on, I think in the 60th or 70th minute, took the game and did a moment of brilliance and scored, and the game finished 1-0. Newcastle just couldn't do enough at the end to get back, and I fear that if Man City score, it will be a similar situation where Man City will close up the game, and will play safe and just do a
keep the ball. They just keep the ball.
And just win 1-0 and because one of the things that I have hope is that Newcastle's strengths are Man City's weaknesses, which is Newcastle in transition and on the counterattack are scary. They are like some of Emery's tactics against Villa with the high line. I mean, you're just asking for like even with Tottenham when they played at Newcastle, when they played with a high line, like what are you do? Like that's exactly what Newcastle wants. So it depends how each coach approaches it, but I have hope for Newcastle. They look in good form, so hopefully they can get a draw. So that's why I'm predicting 2-2.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for those who are in the chat. With the posts and the comments, we had some very interesting topics. Thanks to this wonderful panel, we will go with Stefan. Where can people find you? Can people find you on Twitter or
no? Or... I need to up my social media game. So yeah, they can't find me anywhere, man. I'm sorry.
He doesn't want to be found. That's good. That's good. Connor, When can people see you? I think you mentioned tomorrow.
Yeah. So you can normally catch me on TJ Warren TV. He comes on here normally with you guys, and
it should be on YouTube under the. It should be on there. The link to TJ's channel.
Yeah, definitely go ahead and subscribe. It's the weekly Friday show tomorrow, the American Idiot Show, hosted by himself and Dal DVS. And I'm always sort of on there every week. And we run it up over there. It's a great channel. You'll find me on a load of other Arsenal channels as well. Too many to name. Always talking about Arsenal. And and what I actually do myself, people always say, do you have a YouTube channel? I have a channel, but I don't use it. But what I do is I'm an editor. So if you check out TJ's channel, everything that is thumbnails, banners, anything on that, stuff to do with the streams, all edited by me. And so that's what I do for a living as well as my job. But I also run a little side business, and it's cmo.editing on Instagram. And if you want any designing for your social medias, your YouTube channels, feel free to hit me up on Instagram. That's what I do. And I've helped a load of other YouTube channels, football channels in general, with their designing and everything. So cmo.editing on Instagram, and you can check me out there.
Hey, I might need your help soon.
Of course,
soon,
bro.
Because I'm thinking of actually starting a YouTube channel. So if I do that, I'll definitely hit you up, man.
100%, bro. Feel free.
Steph, you gotta have your channel, bro. You gotta have your channel. It will be lit. I mean,
I can't, man. I can't because I'm just gonna rant. I lose my head. Mari. I can't. I'm just gonna rant.
But you have to understand that even when people say, "Oh, I can't stand this guy," or people watch, when people can't stand you, that means you have arrived. That means that you have a crowd. You know how many people that can't stand the league gunners, like that's what you want.
Like me. I can't stand Lee Gunner. So like me. But I watch him from time to time. So exactly.
You want that, and its personality, it sells. People are like, oh man, this guy, and they want to watch. Like people gonna come back and say, okay, City won. Marvin, you said this, right? People will come back. People are gonna still come back. He said he predicted Chelsea to finish in the bottom half. So it's box office, as we say. Matthew, do you have a Twitter handle? Where can people?
No, I'm not really into the IT world, but it's something I'm thinking about. It doesn't quite work in Birmingham IT, so we haven't downloaded it yet. But it's coming to the Midlands. But no, I'm kind of just jumping on shows and just kind of listening and sharing the love.
Are you in Birmingham?
Yeah, so I was born and grew up in Edmonton, but I came to Birmingham many years ago.
I can hear it. I can hear it, Matthew. I can hear the Birmingham accent. I lived there for a year. So big up Birmingham town. Love it.
Internship job at the University of Birmingham.
I studied there. I did my master's there. So that's why. Yeah.
Because at that time I was like thinking about doing my master's, because at that time I was teaching. I wasn't a guidance counselor yet, and so I was trying to get a job at the process was just so long as an American trying to get a visa, working visa, but get a job teaching in Milnrow, Rochester area, north of Manchester City. And so my Manchester mates, they get me all the time to be a Spurs fan, because they're United City fans and whatever.
Yeah.
But I went on the campus tour. I went to Oxford, went to Cambridge, and I went to the University of Birmingham. And it was a very interesting city, because I was just like, okay, it's in the middle. It's different. I saw the stadium. I also saw Wolves, their stadium, which was to buy. And then, but the town that's near there is a lovely town, Stevenage. What's it called?
No, that's
how far
next to London. That's next to London, isn't it?
Yeah, Stevenage is south.
No, he's thinking of
No,
There's
'cause
Coventry. There's Coventry. There's Derby. Derby's quite close by. Leicester is kind
yeah,
of
because I
close.
stayed at a nice bread and breakfast. Why I keep thinking it was Stevenage? Because I stayed in Stevenage, but I stayed outside of Birmingham. It was such a beautiful bread and breakfast. The whole area.
Sutton, Stratford.
Maybe it might have been Stratford. It might have been for Stratford.
Cotswolds? Are you talking
Yeah.
about the Cotswolds? Is nice.
Because I remember I took a nice run and it was beautiful. Because it was in the summer
No,
and it was
No,
It's not
I-
Stoke on Trent, is it? Wouldn't be Stoke on Trent, would it?
Could be Stoke and
no,
Trent.
no, definitely not Stoke.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, maybe not.
I've been to Stoke.
I can't forget the name of the town, but it was just for me. It was just like, oh man, if I lived in England, I would live there, but I would have to
In
travel to
Birmingham?
London
Wow.
because it was
Mari-
just so good. It was picturesque. It was private. It wasn't. It's which is weird because I'm originally born and raised in New York City, and I like London, but
yeah.
it just but I'm more now as I'm older. I like the quietness, the privateness, and stuff.
No,
So
it depends. Mar, it depends for Birmingham, because when I went, it's always been the rep of Birmingham is quite bad. Like they've always said, it's the ugliest city in Europe. But the city center isn't very nice. City center isn't, but around Birmingham, especially around the university area, the campus, it's really really nice. Like
yeah, the campus is nice. That tall tower, I took a picture by the
oh
tall.
yeah, it's awesome. The campus of Birmingham is awesome. The campus is I went to before that. I did my I lived in Edinburgh. I went to uni there for my undergrad. Edinburgh is a beautiful city, but the campus
On my list.
for the uni there wasn't as nice as Birmingham. I was so surprised at how nice the campus was at Birmingham, and just the areas around it. It was very kind of green, and yeah. So I always have a soft spot for Birmingham, and I also went to a number of Villa games. I got a season ticket when they were in the championship, so it was awesome. It was awesome. Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
All right.
Oh.
Well, we'll have to talk about it. It's a good conversation. But we will see what happens this weekend, and we will definitely come back with more banter and analysis of this past weekend games. And so, as we say on our side, we will say, "Come on, you Spurs." I know you guys will say whatever.
Come on, you Gunners.
Come on, you Gunners! Yeah.
Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Spurs. And Levy out.